Yeah. So I guess we can start.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So welcome all to Thursday Flash Club. I am Nina and
I am Leah. Hello.
hello. And Leah, would you like to introduce Bill?
And this is Bill Byer, who want to read your bio, Bill, and I had it open.
I
And you
have a
just
hard
read it.
time writing those things.
It's fantastic.
Those flummox me.
They flummox all of us, and each one is different.
Bill writes mostly on Thursday nights. He's planning to expand to other days until he finds the best one. And the piece that we're reading today is from one of our other prior Thursday Flash Clubs when we prepared for NYC Midnight's horror contest, the scary story contest. And his ideas your prompts for the piece. Your character was a suspicious neighbor, your object was a candle, and the scare was dolls. And you have some ideas on what you think could be improved in the piece, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah. This piece was in preparation. It wasn't the NYC actual piece that got submitted in the contest.
It was like our fun the fun little prompt I gave you guys.
Yeah. So this one goes, that contest was a 400 word limit. This piece is like 800 and I hope the finished version stays under 1,000 so I can submit it as Flash.
I really wish you had gotten this exact lineup for your prompts. Couldn't do it so well.
Okay, so each week we read a story and then we talk about it. And this week we have the pleasure of having the author in-house, the author writer. And he has given us a draft of this story, which I want to say it is very special to receive a draft because we are at our most vulnerable state as writers in our draft form, because it's when you see our free associations on the page, it's when you see our mistakes or things we're unsure of. And so it is a great honor to actually read somebody's work that is maybe incomplete. It's a work in progress because, well, one, for me personally, it gives me the idea that I don't have to be perfect in my first draft as well, because we put so much pressure on ourselves and there's so much rejection that we feel as we move through this writing process. So, Bill, I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So, what I would love to do is I would love to hear you read this piece to us. I think it should take about 3 or 4 minutes. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, and Leah's going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Strawman. I've been born twice, so I reckon I've already been dead once. I'm Billy Scarecrow. Mama named me Billy. Everyone else added Scarecrow on account of my skinny nature and the hand-me-down clothes. Bundle them corn stalks and husks and haul them over to Redfoot's, Mama hollered from the porch one October afternoon. But we use them to round out the feed. And when you get there, she glared, you tell that bastard we're even. Haul them meant I got to drive the old Dodge, and at 13 that was a treat. So I shut up and piled the stalks in the rusted out truck bed and headed down the dirt track that connected us to Redfoot's place. His real name was Johnny Rainwater, but we always called him Redfoot because he never wore shoes, not even in winter. Billy Scarecrow, Johnny Redfoot. Mama said he got to really be somebody to get a nickname. Bouncing on the ripped driver's seat, I steered the Dodge around Mill Pond, a greasy smear of wet that separated our holding from Redfoot's. Folks said there's good catfish in there, but we didn't catfish, because Mama said catfish gulp up the moon's reflection and eating their meat would make you crazy. The sky was starting to lose color when I rumbled up to Redfoot's. His place was nothing but a dirt patch between a sagging trailer and a 3-sided hay shed, with a pond stench always rolling up from behind the shed. Redfoot liked to brag about being off the grid. I just knew he managed to look poorer than us. In the shed, he motioned with a thick arm, and I started unloading the truck. The shed was Redfoot's workspace. Every year he made corn husk dolls to sell at county fairs and farmers markets, charms to get yourself a lover or a decent harvest or a loan extension from the bank. The dolls were everywhere, in crates, on hay bales and benches, mounted on the dirt floor. Some tiny as a kitten, few the size of a small boy, most in between. Nearly all were rough and quick twisted, but a few you knew took real time, plaited so fine, then worried and rubbed smooth until the fibers disappeared and they looked like real flesh. Got a good bunch of dollies here, Redfoot, I said as I dumped the last of our stocks on the dirt floor. Crows were raising Cain down at the water, fighting over some dead thing. I turned around and Redfoot was right up behind me, closer than a man his size ought to get, unheard. I suppose, he looked around at the dollies, then down at me. Mama says y'all are even Steven now. Almost, he said, and swung his great meaty fist at me. It connected with my temple and made a sound like slapping a ham. When I opened my eyes, Redfoot was straddling my chest, pinning my arms down with his knees. He ripped open my shirt and his fingers were wriggling and pulling at the skin of my chest, like he was rooting for something. Pain took my breath as he wormed his fingers between muscle and bone. Panicking, I fought against his thick weight. He was gouging a hole in my chest with his bare hands. I looked down expecting to be covered in gore, but I wasn't, just tufts of dried stalk. My chest was torn open, frayed corn fodder spilled from the cavity, and in the center of that hole, a small candle flickered. See, Billy, your wick's nearly guttered, he said, taking a piece of straw from the floor. Holding it near my chest, the flame leapt to the straw. I felt my strength drain as a thin thread of smoke rose from my now dead candle. Can't let it go out, he said, turning with his taper to a boy-sized dolly behind him. Its chest was open too, and in the hollow was a candle, one that John Redfoot gave my flame to. It was full dark when he tossed me by the pond, my face half stuck in cold mud. The weight of life left me. I was becoming lighter, a dried husk. Shouldn't Mom have come looking for me? I wondered. Then water sloshed up, a wave pushed by catfish slithering through the mud toward me. What you coming for, moonfish? I whispered. It stopped, looked at me with its oil-black eyes, and retched. A stream of warm brown mud splashed into my chest, up my neck and chin, into my mouth. Coughing and gagging on silt, I noticed there was something in that muck, egg-shaped and milky white, a moonstone. When I stood up, Billy Scarecrow was dead in the mud. Billy never ate catfish, never went mad with its moon flesh. But now that moon burns pale in my chest, and the world's going to see just how mad I can get.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, in your words, so we can keep you as the author in mind, can you tell us what this is about? Because sometimes, and we ask that because, we could have our own ideas what this is about, but really our goal is to help you get the story that you want.
Yeah.
Because we could be prescriptive and create the story that we want, but we don't want to do that. We want to help you get the story you want. So tell us about it.
I think it's an origin story. It's a story about his broken trust with his mom.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Okay.
I visioned it, and I know it's not clear, especially I feel like it fades in the latter half, but, I want to clear up maybe more that he is a dolly, he is a straw boy. He just doesn't realize it until his chest is being torn open.
And is that why he distrusts his mother?
I think he trusts her up until the point that he realizes that he's not real. And that she's not going to come for him.
So Mom already knew. That's
Yeah.
one of my main questions.
Yeah. There's I
Mm.
picture it. I mean, I don't know how detailed you want me to get into like granular changes that I'm going to make. I think that there's a lot of um, sort of mechanical or logistical stuff that's missing. Um, in my mind, she's sending him over to Redfoot's. She purchased him from Redfoot and couldn't afford more than a 13-year candle.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's some stuff that's going to, I think I need to get added in that.
okay. That actually explains a lot in terms of I didn't get that, but that explains a lot with a lot of my questions here.
Right.
Um, there a lot of my questions are causal
Yeah.
about the
I,
causal.
I realize that's missing.
Yeah. Okay. So, Leah, you want to take this? Shall we put Bill, we're going to kind of Leah and are going to maybe chat a little bit back and forth in this part.
Okay.
You you're not in a cone of silence. So sometimes we do that in workshop in our MFA workshop. We were like you silenced. I don't want to do that to you because oftentimes what happens when somebody's in the cone of silence, um, people start going off the rails and you're not allowed to reel them back in. Um,
So you forget what the person said. So, like, in the moment, it's really nice to be able to be like, "Wait, please
please,
elaborate." Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Let's do it.
you.
This is fun. This is a whole new experience for me. So let's do it.
Okay, let's take that first line, Leah. I've been born twice, so I reckon I've already been dead once. I was like, "Holy shit, let's go." I was
Yeah.
hooked.
Yeah, and
I was
it's perfect for Flash because it just throws you in there.
yep.
Yeah.
I
There's
had
no build up. It's just you're in this situation.
mhm.
Mhm.
I think it introduces us to the uncanny,
Mhm.
which is, it moves from uncanny to fantasy, I think. So it's definitely signals that this might not be reality. Um, unless it's like Buddhist, but you're aware of your previous life. Um, but I didn't get that feeling. So anyway, I was like, great hook. I'm Billy Scarecrow. Mama named me Billy. Everyone else added Scarecrow on account of my skinny nature and hand me down clothes. All right, what do we think about that?
Well, this is one of those interesting things where when you've read the piece already, you go back and you read that second line and you're like, "Well, wait a second. Why were you actually called Billy Scarecrow?" So this is some foreshadowing in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know now, line by line, what do we know about the character? He's skinny, he's a kid, has hand-me-down clothes, he
Yeah,
has a nickname.
yeah. I was thinking maybe there was a maybe in there, maybe on account of my skinny nature and hand down clothes. Um, and I only say that just because I was thinking about like we want to create some questions and maybe like a little bit of disgust in the reader. Like oh, this is a curious thing.
Especially because right now we're just world building in the
Yeah,
very beginning. So, yeah, we need to create some
some more questions. Yeah.
questions, as you said, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read that next line. Bundle them corn stalks and husks and haul them over to Redfoot's. Mama hollered from the porch one October afternoon. So that's like a real call to action,
Mhm.
right? If we're identifying this like parts of speech. Um,
We've introduced 2 new characters.
yeah. And then we also know time of the year.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
setting a scene.
Setting a scene. Yeah. So George Saunders talks about this meter that goes off when you're reading.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like you might not know exactly what it is, but something in you pings as you're reading. So that was kind of how I went through that's how I went through this as I was like waiting to see what pinged me. Like, "Ooh, that's curious." Um, the only thing that I thought between those two lines, the I'm Billy Scarecrow and bundle them corn stalks, I wondered if there was a beat between those two things. Because we go right from Billy and how he's skinny and wears hand-me-down clothes, and then Mama says, "Take those husks and bring them over." And I thought a beat might fill things out a little bit in terms of setting or an opportunity to, lean into the uncanny a little bit,
Mhm.
just for, like, maybe a transition because we just find out, like, kind of what he looks like, and then he has that call to action. That was just a thought.
Do you have a suggestion?
So maybe a beat about setting, a beat leaning into the uncanny, or leaning into maybe Mama,
Mm,
just a little something to bridge those 2.
yeah, so it's not such a jump.
Yeah. Um, and then so that's a call to action, but we use them to round out the feed, I said, but we use them to round out the feed. Is that a question?
See, I don't see that that line needs to be there at all. That's one of my yeah, I think you can just cross that one out.
Mhm. That's interesting.
Mhm.
I just wanted a dialogue tag and to
Yeah,
find out
which might be very telling, like, you don't need it at all because mama just keeps talking.
Mama just keeps talking. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So that doesn't really necessarily introduce new information,
Mm-mm, exactly,
right?
there's
Maybe it
not much else happening,
mhm,
except that I guess I do see that it's possible that it seems odd for her to be asking this of him because he's like, "Well, we use this for a different purpose." So I think you did a good job of dual meaning within the sentence, but I don't think that it's necessary in terms of, when you're thinking about length of the piece. I think that's something that you could definitely cut out.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Um, and when you get there, she glared, "You tell that bastard we're even." Well, okay, we're even. Why?
Yeah. More
Um, that
questions.
that causes the big question of why. Why is he a bastard and why are he and Mama even now? So that's the first opportunity that you can lean into Mama's story a little bit or the uncanny. We kind of hide Mama's story in this beginning part. Um, and maybe we don't have to.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are like some of the biggest questions at the end too, that is left unresolved and maybe needs to be resolved is what is mama's part in this? 'Cause it's not super clear.
Mhm. Um, okay, you wanna take this next sentence, Leah?
Yeah. Haul them meant I got to drive the old Dodge, and at 13 that was a treat. So I shut up and piled the stalks in the rusted out truck bed, then headed down the dirt track that connected us to Redfoot's place. His real name was Johnny Rainwater, but we always called him Redfoot because he never wore shoes, not even in winter. So that tells us who Redfoot is.
Mhm.
It tells us how old Billy Scarecrow is. And it gives us a little bit more setting as well, which is nice. I think you paint a really beautiful picture throughout the
Yeah.
story. Um, I don't know if it's necessary to give Redfoot a real name. I think Redfoot should just be Redfoot and not Johnny Rainwater.
I had that
What is
question.
Yeah, what does that do for because the Redfoot's explained, and I think it's fantastic because it's explained so subtly. It's not over-explained, which I really love. We all know what it means once you know he never wore shoes, not even in winter. But does rainwater have significance? Because I don't see that right now.
Yep. I didn't understand the second name either. If it
And then
was,
it gets kind of confusing.
although the next line, it does seem important in the sense that there's a next line about nicknames.
What
I
does
have
that
a
mean necessary?
I have a thought that the nicknames are going to come back at the end. I know we're not there,
Mhm.
but when he gets up and he's no longer Billy Scarecrow. I'm thinking about echoing this whole nickname thing.
Okay. So my question was just, do the nicknames relate to something, and can it work? Can it work double? Because now it's just part of like colloquial culture to have a nickname, but can it do something to further the plot or further the emotional experience? Okay.
Yeah, if it was brought back in a significant way, then it would make sense there.
Yeah. I think that paragraph just above it, the Halden paragraph, is great. About 13, that experience of doing things that adults do
Mhm.
is pretty important. And there's like the youthful excitement there and energy that I noticed with that. He was like, I shut up because, like, whatever, I get to drive the truck. I liked that. I thought that was really interesting. So he feels truly 13 right there.
Yeah, and he also feels like he's um trusted. He's empowered by his mother allowing him to do this. So we feel that connection between mother and child in a way.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Bouncing on the ripped driver's seat, I steered the Dodge round Mill Pond, a greasy smear of wet that separated our holding from Redfoot's. Folks said there was good catfishing there, but we didn't catfish, 'cause Mama said catfish gulp up the moon's reflection and eating their meat would make you crazy.
It's my favorite part.
All right. So we've got another uncanny beat.
Mhm.
Mama said catfish gulp up the moon's reflection and eating their meat would make you crazy. So I thought that was really interesting. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what eating their meat would make you crazy. Like that, I was like, okay, like maybe there's mercury or something, or maybe there's some explanation there. But that they gulp up the moon's reflection was very curious to me. Um, and I didn't know what would happen um, when they gulp up the moon's reflection.
Well, it's what I loved about it is that it's like it's the lore that they're told, right? And so you're further painting this picture of this the community, this colloquialism, and then it's the perfect Chekhov's gun. Like you've planted it there, and
Mhm.
there's no reason that it would be there if it wasn't gonna apply later.
Okay. The sky was
Well,
starting to lose color when I rumbled up to Redfoot's. His place was nothing but a dirt patch between a sagging trailer and a three-sided hay shed, with a pond stench always rolling out from behind the shed. Okay. So Billy's familiar with this. It's evening, coming on evening. So this is a lot of so this is what I would call a setting and plot
mhm.
paragraph. Um, we're moving him to Redfoot's, and I'm wondering if there's a way. And there's setting, talking about the smell. Um, I would ask if there's a way that we could escalate the tension there.
Mhm.
That would be my question of that paragraph. Is there something, some line, some verb that would make this feel a little more ominous and escalate?
When you've touched on this sensory detail that I think almost gets us there, but maybe heightening that would help with that tension.
With the stench.
Yeah, the stench always rolling up from behind the shed makes that shed very ominous because you've added the sensory element, and I feel like that's where my heart, like, goes a little like, "Whoa, what's that?" But like you're saying, it's not where you want it to be. Like, you wanna be rolling up to this shed and, like, maybe starting to feel a little dread and
Mhm.
what.
I thought about putting the later on. I talk about the crows making noise, and I thought about putting that line in that
Mhm.
paragraph.
Mhm.
What I was gonna say is you start to get very sensory heavy in the right way around this point, and all of those little pieces really work well together.
Mhm.
It's a lot of stuff that relates back to death and decay.
All right, next page. Redfoot liked to brag about being off the grid. I just knew he managed to look poorer than us. So this is like relational. Billy is comparing what he and Mama has.
We're also learning that he is somewhere that no one else is, which helps a little with the tension, but I think it's too subtle.
Mm. So, and is there like that's also another tension opportunity for tension?
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't know. I wondered about off the grid, like if off the grid was modern language, like that maybe felt like that was one of those places where I had a little ping. I was like, off the grid, huh? Is that true? Is that a true expression to the register of this? That was just a question. I just wrote modern line question mark. Um,
That's
that
a
was
great catch, 'cause off the
yeah,
grid could mean so many things, or at
yeah.
least 2 things. It could mean off the grid in the middle of nowhere, or it could be off the grid, like, you don't have a phone and you don't have internet.
Right. I wasn't sure like what era we were in. In some ways, this could be, it's an old truck and harvest dolls, and it seems a while ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or at least somewhere that isn't modern, no matter the time.
Hmm. Yeah. In the shed, he motioned with a thick arm, and I started unloading the truck. I like the thick arm that does escalate tension. It's like a direct order. It's a command. Um, he's
Especially in
telling,
comparison to his skinny nature.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, size discrepancy. So we learned that. The shed was Redfoot's workspace. All right, so we have a little setting. Every year he made corn husk dolls to sell at county fairs and farmers' stands. I questioned if market farmers markets was another one. Charms to get yourself a lover or a decent harvest or loan extension from the bank. So we've got charms that moves us into uncanny territory. Um,
I wonder if this would be an opportunity to subtly tie back the mother. Because from what Bill's told us now, the mother has purchased a doll from Redfoot in the past. That just popped in my head, so that's about as far as that idea goes.
Something, something, mother.
Yes.
and, and
Something
I guess
something husk.
yeah, and I wonder at 13 if he's doing all these things, if he knows more about these dolls at this point.
True, because it's his perspective.
Um, because he's over there, he seems to be pretty familiar with the location, the poverty level, and they're close by. Um, so that was just a
You could even at this point, because the tone of this whole piece is fantastic. but it is in his perspective, this 13-year-old boy's perspective. So at this point, you could bring in a direct example that, like so and so bought a doll for such and such. So then he's like, I know I'm doing great with the blanks fill-ins. But so that you're making it both this like fairy tale kind of thing for him while also making it a part of this community that he's a part of and what their belief is. I just think, yeah, it would be cool to have like a concrete example, a concrete detail instead of just listing off what kind of charms you could get.
Mhm.
And maybe you can tie that into the mother.
You ready for next paragraph?
Yeah, I'll read it.
You do that one. Yeah.
The dolls were everywhere, in crates, on hay bales and benches, mounded on the dirt floor. Some tiny as a kitten, a few the size of a small boy, most in between. Small boy. Nearly all were rough and quick twisted, but a few you knew took real time. Plaited so fine, then worried and rubbed smooth until the fibers disappeared and they looked like real flesh. Real flesh was my ping moment.
Right? I was like, this paragraph is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is doing everything it's doing everything it's supposed to do.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, because you're like, ew, because it feels a little gross, actually. Like real flesh, you're like, ugh. I got like a heebie-jeebie.
It wasn't until just now, with that a few the size of a small boy, that I was like, oh, circle that line.
Mm-hmm. So you have size. Like I think the size is really great. Um,
Amount.
the amount of them, but a few took real time. And rubbed smooth until the fibers disappeared and they looked like real flesh. So again, that's like that's another uncanny point. You haven't like jumped into the fantastic yet, but you're right on the edge of that. Got a good bunch of dollies here, Redfoot, I said as I dumped the last of our stocks on the dirt floor. Crows were raising Cain down at the water, fighting over some dead thing. So I wondered with this line, I just wondered if this paragraph, I just wondered if there was an opportunity for like a little hesitation or interiority from the boy, from Billy. Um, because then we get and I know you had talked about the crows were raising Cain down at the water fighting over some dead thing. I think it's good placement. It's interesting. There's uh atmospherically there is threat.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if interiority, Billy is beginning to absorb it yet. That Billy's like, oh, I don't like this place.
Well, that'll help us with the tension that we're missing.
Mhm. I turned around and Redfoot was right up behind me, closer than a man his size ought to get. I crossed out unheard.
Yeah.
Um, and I wrote, delete or expand a beat towards the uncanny again. Because we're moving towards threat. To what I think is the hinge moment in the story, where everything else depends on the next few lines. Um, so I think that kind of that escalation and that tension needs to really begin to ratchet up.
Yeah.
Um, I suppose he looked around at the dollies, then down at me. Looked, I just circled that verb. Is there a stronger verb?
But down at me is great because
Yeah.
it's showing size difference again. Because I had crossed out that entire line. I was just jumped to Mama says you're all even Steven now, but that down at me I think is really necessary.
Mm-hmm. Um, all right. Mama says y'all are even Steven now. Almost, he said, and swung his great meaty fist at me. It connected with my temple and made a sound like a slapping ham. Yeah, that was great. It was a great sound. It was really fantastic. Um, so the hinge, I had decided that um, that was like the moment that everything changes.
Yep.
Everything changes for the reader. Everything changes. So we're building to that moment of tension. Um, and then we're going to see how that moment of tension plays out. Mama says y'all are even Steven now. Now, I had a question for what? Um, and I didn't know if there was a tease there about something that you could clue us in a little bit more on the lore, on the mystery. Just give us some details. Um, and maybe that's interiority. Y'all are even Steven now for the blank, which then might read differently coming back to it. You know, I don't know what euphemism you might have for what Billy Scarecrow is. Um,
Well, it's
but
interesting too because she never tells us what they'd be even Steven for. And yeah, we don't see Billy questioning it at all. Which even if we don't know what's going on, maybe yeah, we have some insight into what he thinks it is.
Mhm,
And then it's an even bigger shock when we realize what it actually is.
right. You know, it's maybe like y'all are even Steven now after 13 years, or
Yeah.
you know, something to like just give us a little ping, like, oh, we heard that before.
Mhm.
Um, and then he says almost, right? Which is great. It's a great line
Mhm.
because you know there's more to come for little Billy Scarecrow.
You'd be like, "Well, what?"
Um,
Like, Rudy's fist again.
and he's down on the ground. He just gets flattened right here. He is like cold cocked. Boom, hamstrung. Um,
All
all right.
the way.
You want to take that next one? Yeah.
When I opened my eyes, Redfoot was straddling my chest, pinning my arms down with his knees. He'd ripped open my shirt, and his fingers were wiggling and pulling at the skin of my chest, like he was rooting for something. Pain took my breath as he warmed his fingers between muscle and bone. Panicking, I fought against his thick white weight. He was gouging a hole in my chest with his bare hands. I looked down, expecting to be covered in gore.
I thought this was a fantastic paragraph.
Yeah.
The only thing I noted was thick. It had been used before with his thick, and I just didn't know if there was another way to monster him up.
Mhm.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say about that paragraph, Leah?
Um, I just love that we're led to believe that he's actually digging into like a to human flesh. I think that's a great way to start all of this because it is so gory. And then by that last line, it's like, well, it's not.
Oh yeah, I'd say this is the departure from
But
the uncanny into the fantastic too.
yeah, exactly.
This is when you're there. You're there. You've crested that,
Also, where
which
it's
is
like
great.
wiggling and pulling and rooting for something and worming. Like
Hmm.
they're just really great words to use.
Yes. Oh, pain.
Mhm.
I didn't know if Billy feels pain.
Mhm.
That was just one thing I was like, I don't know. Like, is this painful for him?
Yeah, maybe it's not pain that's taking his breath. Maybe it's
The hand.
shock. Yeah, or it's it's something physical. Um,
Um,
but it's something he's perceiving as pain because that's what he's expecting. but it shouldn't be pain. It should be something that throws us off a little too.
Mhm. So now we've got another hinge.
Yeah.
So we hinged once with the almost, and then we've hinged again, but I wasn't just tufts of dried stalk. So the reader now knows, the reader is now informed that the straw man, Billy is the straw man. My chest was torn open, frayed corn fodder spilled from the cavity, and at the center of that hole, the small candle flickered.
And now we're truly in the surreal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote, Billy Scarecrow is a husk doll. That's what we learned there.
Mhm.
Okay. I wrote, are there any clues to this before?
Only his name.
Only his name. Um,
Interesting though, because it would be nice to see one or two other little things that might make us start guessing.
right, like little Easter eggs, because that's always so fun when the big reveal comes, because you're like, oh, it was there all along. Right? I love those. Um, okay, see, Billy, your wick's nearly guttered, he said, taking a piece of straw from the floor. Holding it near my chest, the flame leapt to the straw. I felt my strength drain as a thin thread of smoke rose from my now dead candle. See, Billy, your wick's nearly gutted. My question there was he going to die anyway?
Yeah, that was my first thought. I was like, wait, is this guy helping him? I got really confused.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Suddenly all the intention was doing that.
Yeah. And then for my now dead candle, and I wrote, how does the narrative continue if this is Billy's heart?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to suspend like disbelief that he is somehow transformed, but I haven't really seen the transformation
Mm-mm.
that, so he's still kind of like, has he turned into a spirit? Is he the thread of smoke?
Mm-hmm.
Is he like, um, that was,
Where
yeah,
did this
this,
go? Yeah.
right.
He's
We're
got to go somewhere, but we don't
gotta,
know where it is now.
right. Um, Can't let it go out, he said, turning with his taper to a boy-sized dolly behind him. Its chest was open too, and in the hollow was a candle, one that John Redfoot gave my flame to. So here I didn't know, like, if he could blow out his candle later. That was one of the thoughts I had, like, is it possible that, um, he blows out his candle? He takes the light, give my light from your light, and then blows out Billy's, and then tosses him in the pond. Um, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep the narrative going, like, hold on to some, like, reason for consciousness.
Yeah, because now I'm like wondering, has he transferred him from one dolly to another dolly? And what would the intention of that be? Because I'm so confused. Sorry.
That's okay. So I think
This is really good and helpful because
Mhm.
I have an idea in my head, like how the mechanics work, and I'm realizing how poorly it was translated onto paper.
yeah,
Not poorly.
not poorly,
Also,
Mhm.
can you guys still hear me? My earbuds died, and so now I'm
Yeah.
just fine.
screaming into the void.
Yeah, no, we can hear you just fine. So it was full dark when he tossed me by the pond, face half stuck in cold mud. The weight of life left me. I was becoming lighter, a dried husk. Um, he was stuck in cold mud, but he was lighter. So that was one of those things. I was like, but he's wet. How is he lighter?
Mhm.
Um, doesn't mean again, Bill. We ask these questions and it doesn't mean um, we're right about these things. It just means like we pinged,
Yeah. No, I
and
get it.
yeah.
You're not hurting my feelings.
Okay, good. Yeah, we know you're tough. Um,
I signed up for this.
You did. Shouldn't Mama have come looking for me, I wondered. Then water sloshed up, a wave pushed by a catfish slithering through the mud toward me. So we didn't linger very long on Mama and this question of Mama and the betrayal, which is probably why we didn't realize that was the distrust, that she was the one who hung him out to dry.
Yeah, because it seems like he still trusts Mama. And so, I mean, we are him at this point, you know? We don't know more than what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I
also
would.
kind of wondering if Mama has a connection to catfish, you know? Like, is Mama sending the catfish over?
Good question. Because we're not in reality anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, anything can happen. So now a catfish is coming through the mud toward me. Is there an interiority curiosity about the fish? He doesn't seem scared ever,
Mhm.
really. It's just like, and this happened, and this happened.
Mhm.
Shouldn't Mama come looking for me? So we don't have like an embodied kind of feeling. What you coming for, moonfish? I whispered. Well, that's a good question. Um, and does this relate to Mama's warning?
Mhm.
That was what I thought as I read it before I understood. I equate the catfish with Mama.
Mhm.
All right, why don't you do that next one, Leah?
It stopped, looked at me with its oil black eyes, and retched. A stream of warm brown mud splashed into my chest, up my neck and chin, into my mouth. Coughing and gagging on silts, I noticed there was something in that muck, egg-shaped and milky white, a moonstone. It's so it's such a good image. You've painted such a great image here. Oil black eyes,
Mm-hmm.
warm brown mud.
And so it puked something up.
Yeah. Like
The
his
catfish puked something up into Billy's mouth,
Uh-huh.
into Billy's scarecrow mouth.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I love it, but it leaves you with a lot of questions.
But the moonstone isn't in his mouth.
Exactly. What is
Does
the
he
moonstone?
does he spit it out? Like, how does he see it? If it's just barfed into his mouth, how does he know it's a moonstone? How does he then see it again?
Also,
And
egg-shaped really throws me off because I feel like egg is supposed to mean something else here.
right, what does it do? What does moonstone do?
Mhm.
What is there a power that I'm supposed to understand about the moonstone?
Like, I think language has to be very intentional in this kind of plot
Mhm.
turn
Yeah,
to make sure that, yeah, every word is doing something
yeah.
to keep it moving forward.
All right, why don't you finish this up, Leah?
When I stood up, Billy Scarecrow was dead in the mud. Billy never ate catfish, never went mad with its moon flesh. But now that moon burns pale in my chest, and the world's gonna see just how mad I can get.
So now the I is no longer Billy Scarecrow. The narrator is no longer who he was before. So he's been disembodied and is now in a new body.
Mhm.
Um, so I didn't know what this being's capacity for revenge was. It revenge that he's
Answer
going,
who?
and yes, and toward whom, to whom. Um, and so I guess, okay. So in these last one, two, three, kind of three paragraphs, I wrote what happened? I don't understand. Causal chain is broken.
Mm.
Like, I didn't understand how we got from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next.
Also, it says he doesn't eat the catfish, but in order to be crazed, you're supposed to eat the catfish. So there's just more questions than there are answers.
And he stood up. So he's got a new.
Yeah,
He
like the
got lit.
moonstone did something, and it's
Yeah.
in his chest now. So did he eat it? Did he swallow it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why the hell is this fish helping him? And does he have a new nickname now?
Ooh,
Is
touche.
this when you bring back if you
Yeah.
want to keep the nicknames? Is this like the opportunity to give him a new identity fully?
Yeah. So these were our questions. These were our questions, Bill. I should say, what is the flash?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to identify the flash, and in some ways, but I wasn't. Just tufts of dried stalk. For me, that was like the biggest reveal, the biggest aha.
What I was trying to get at for Billy as well.
Mm-hmm. So then, is there more of a story ahead of that? If that's the big reveal, then is what comes after as important? Is there more of a story to be told in between those two places?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about that causal chain problem or explaining your magic. I have 3 stories like this that I want you guys to do this too.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I cannot see them. I cannot see my story to save my life.
Yeah. It's funny.
Right? So, Bill, do you have any questions for us after hearing kind of us go through this line by line and you see kind of where we get stuck?
No, I mean I knew that it like fizzled at the end and got confused. I was also just trying to get something finished. But
That's fair.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I wonder, now that you've written it, do you see it as something that you want to be shorter, or do you see it as something that you can expand on and make longer?
I want to keep it under 1,000 words. It's 800 words now.
Mm-hmm.
It's there that obviously I can just straight cut out a few lines. I do feel like I need to do some more work in the beginning, like foundation, whole folklore of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hadn't thought of that, but I mean, if I do until you just said it, I could lose a lot on the back end.
I mean, I think I see that it could go either way.
And it's it's also one of those things like I have this problem where I like fall in love with lines and stuff and things get better when I finally give up on it and just cross it out. Like the whole catfish at the end thing I love, but it just sounds like it's much.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, because I really love this catfish and I love this backstory that could really go somewhere much further. Like you're creating, like you said, this is kind of like a coming of age story. It's a transformation story. Um, and I think you could write more to that if it were to be longer. But if you wanted to keep it short, there's a lot that you can, like a whole storyline you could cut out
Yeah,
and
it's
focus on what's working.
too much stuff in these short pieces.
I mean, or maybe, Bill, this is your short story,
Yeah. It doesn't have to be
right?
novel length.
I've been wanting to try to write something longer.
Yeah, because I know that's in your head too. Because your flash is like right top of the page, And then you have this whole other really interesting segue, and if this is an origin story,
Mhm.
then, like, it's almost like a first chapter. I mean, I could see this in some ways being a book. It's so voicey and delicious that,
Mhm.
like, this like a if you softened it a little bit, it could be like a YA,
Yep.
or middle grade kind of thing, depending on how much you wanted to soften it, because it's definitely, like, this coming of age, really interesting, like, "Oh, where is this
Oh,
going?"
boy. Yeah, figuring out
Mhm.
who he is,
Right.
what mama lied about.
Yeah. So I had a prompt for us. I don't know if you wanna write for 5 minutes,
Yeah, sure.
um, because I thought it was a fun one, which is kind of it's also voice driven because I was just loving the voice of this piece so much, so I was thinking, "What can we do with voice?" And so I was thinking about how a narrator could be telling a story, but they keep interrupting themselves to revise it, and each time they interrupt themselves, there's, like, a truer, more uncomfortable version of what's coming forward. So it would be like, uh, well, I mean, that's not exactly right. So I was on the way home the other night, and then you can say, well, that wasn't exactly right. I was driving to my lover's house, or that's a big leap, but something along those lines where the listener would be more increasingly more and more uncomfortable with each correction. I was thinking that could be kind of fun. Um, so shall we?
Yeah. So it's a narrator telling a story and then essentially cutting themselves off with corrections.
Yes, it's a monologue,
Yes.
a voicey monologue. Okay, so how much time do we wanna take to do it? This is democracy, you wanna take 8 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just take 8. That way we can kind of be considerate of time and alright, so I'm just gonna mute.
Okay.
Okay, come back in 8. All right, come on back. We just did 8 minutes.
Oh.
That was kind of fun, I thought. It ended up being kind of like I had an old lady going for a walk, and she kept correcting herself, and, well, maybe that wasn't quite it. Um, anyway, it sounded like, almost like an interrogation,
Mm.
um, where she was trying to hide something. Um, what was how'd you guys do?
My go, Bill, go.
Uh, that was fun. I work with a nurse who tells the shortest story the longest way, and I just kind of
Mhm.
changed her. And I was like, "What did you do last night?" And she was like, "Well, I was going up to the bar because John Dooley was working." And but what you need to know is earlier that day, he asked me to look at his hemorrhoids, and she just keeps going farther and farther back through her day of craziness with his hemorrhoids.
That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
I wrote about somebody giving an excuse for why they weren't in attendance, but then they keep correcting themselves and eventually they get to the truth. They're like, I'm sorry, I just took a week off. I was at home watching Gilmore Girls with my mom.
Just like
But it starts with like, my mom was in the hospital for a week. This happened. Best.
it's like very Dorothy Parker, that sound, or even Grace Paley, like that correcting.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. Wasn't exactly like that, I
Oh,
guess.
except
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you both. It was great to see you.
Thank you.
so fun.
That was
Um, next week we'll do the Illuminarium. You want to do the Illuminarium next week? Oh, I think yes. I think we lost Leah. She's frozen, although she looks beautiful frozen
the
like that.
commentarium is like it's it's there, but I can't
Oh,
heard of it. What is it?
yeah. What
Wait, what?
happened?
It was in your T. It was in a T-Pow Substack, the Illuminarium. Where did I?
It was in a Strange Pilgrims Substack. I mean, yeah, Strange Pilgrims Substack, which was read, which by Jenna Rose, somebody. Oh, what's her last name? I should know this. Um, anyway, she gave us permission to read it, so I don't know if that's something that
Now I remember they seal the doors shut and they have all the halogen lights and
the lights they
yeah,
create they
yes.
create so there's no darkness.
Okay.
Yeah, Jenna Rose Nethercup.
So good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can do that one next week, or Leah, if you have one that you want to do.
Um, no, I would love to do that, please.
Okay. Okay. So let's do it. We'll run through that one next week. All right. Great to see you both.
See you guys. Thank you.
Good job, Bill.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Noodles.